So, how about some eco-friendly alternative plastic made from salmon sperm? Does that interest you?
Sounds delicious.
Oh, I read the news today. Oh boy, about two lucky boys who decided to kick off the Promo Upfront podcast, episode number 74. I'm one of your hosts, Bill Petrie, as I stand here at my standing desk. With me, as always, my good pal, the Admiral of Alternative Plastics, the Sergeant of Scent, the President of Promo Research himself, the one and only Kirby Hassman. Kirby, how the hell are you sitting there?
I'm doing well. I'm not standing at attention like you are, so I admire that. No, I'm doing really well. I'm excited that get to chat with you each week. It's been, that week after, you get off for a little bit is always a little bit hectic. I know you know that probably a little better than I do this week. But it's that kind of busy that's been a really good busy, which at least here it is. So I'm doing pretty darn well. How about you, buddy?
Doing great. Like I said, taking almost the whole week off last week, and it's like a vacation week. Did a ton of work the week before, did nothing last week, and now it's like an avalanche of things that are coming together. But it's all very exciting and it's a lot of fun, and it really just makes me feel excited. But you know what else makes me feel excited, Kirby?
What's that, Bill?
Thank you so much for knowing to ask. It's our good pals over at Soapbox. That's right, Soapbox marketing communication. We've talked about what the Soapbox is. It's that one-on-one brainstorming sessions, virtual platform. They've taken the best parts of those one-on-one supplier meetings, extracted them out, and created the easiest, most efficient, most economical virtual platform in the industry, bar none. I think we absolutely all know that. But my favorite part, as I talked about last week, it's so manageable, right, Kirby? 4, 2, 1. 4 from a distributor's perspective, you got 4 meetings, one time a month, and it takes about 2 hours. And I know that's a huge thing for you. It really has saved you a lot of time and really introduced you to some great suppliers.
Yeah, and I think I totally get where the pushback would be from someone thinking about it. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want one more scheduled meetings.
Right.
And, I'll be the first to say when I talked to Dan and Brett about this, it's like, oh gosh, I don't know if I'll be able to fit it in. It really wasn't that hard. And I was always so glad, you found those meetings on your schedule because they give you a month to plan it out. And you find them on your schedule. And then at the end of that day, I was always like, okay, I want to go back to my team and talk about what I've learned, because it force feeds you in a really brief period of time. And it really is valuable.
Well, and it's not like a usual supplier gauntlet where you as a distributor are drinking from a fire hose and you get excited in meeting 1. And by the time you get to meeting 15, you start blending suppliers together. You can't remember who has what. So it's a great thing. And I know you've been there, and we should take your word for it. You are a customer, you've been there, and it's great. But how about this nugget from Shannon Laredo from Business Branders? She said this: Soapbox has changed the way I learn about suppliers and has helped me grow my business. Soapbox meetings are effective and impactful, period. Now, I don't know a lot of people who walk out of their general supplier meetings thinking that was not only effective, but impactful. But she has that feeling. I know you do too. I know everybody from a distributor perspective has that feeling. So if you can't say your supplier meetings are powerful and impactful and effective, you're probably doing it wrong. It's probably time to step up on that soapbox. So head over to promosoapbox.com, fill out the information form. If you are a distributor that sells $500,000 or more, hey, you qualify. You qualify right now. So head on over there, fill that out, or you can even email them if it's easier for you at info@promosoapbox.com. I don't think you'll be sorry you did.
You will not be sorry you did.
You will not. All right. So this platinum level content is provided free because of good people like the Promo Soapbox. to you, both of our listeners, the one in Nebraska, the one in Louisiana, we appreciate it. I have the upfront topic today. So we always start off with something promo centric. And I was real excited as I was doing my research today, Kirby, getting ready for the podcast. Speaking of research, PPI has a new study out. Have you seen this, Kirby?
I haven't. You're going to have to enlighten me, my friend.
I love my statistics.
Yep.
I love it when it has to do with promo. So they surveyed about 5,600, almost 5,700 people and users in the United States and Canada. And they wanted to see how people got their promo and a couple other things. And people were able to click multiple ways how they received the promo they had. And so if I can share some of this with you, Kirby, it would eat some of the time of the podcast, which I would appreciate. 45.9% of the respondents said they took the branded merchandise offered by a business. So a bank, a hotel, whatever it is, a restaurant. So that's at almost 50%. 32% received it with a purchase. 28.2% handed out. It was handed out to an attendee at an event, trade show, something like that, social gathering. 26.9 were given by employers or an organization. But here's the one that really just kind of grabbed my attention, and I really kind of want to dig a little deeper, if you'll indulge me, Kirby. 47.2 people said they got it in the mail from a business.
So 47.2%.
Mm-hmm.
47
received promo products in snail mail from a business. And I thought, well, do you have a thought? If you want to have a thought, I'll let you go. But
go ahead.
I thought, what if for whatever reason that blew me away? I thought that number, would be much lower, somewhere in the 20-25% range. And it just shows how impactful marrying what we do in promotional products with direct mail, how impactful what we always call lumpy mail is, right? Yeah. And I think you agree with that.
No, I do. My question is, was that like 47.2% have received it in the last 20 years or last year?
I don't have that information in front of me.
Okay.
So let's just say it was yesterday.
Okay. Well, I think so. The idea, if you're going to do that,
I think it's the promotional products that they thought of. You own promotional products. How did you receive them? Yeah, I don't think there was a time limit on it.
No, that's 100% fair. But I would say that it's probably generally with anything like this, there's a recency bias, just not in a bad way, just like you're looking at what's in front of you. You're looking at what's, And the idea that high a percentage, that is really high. Right.
Yeah.
And honestly, the event one is really low.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's actually,
well, I think that has a pandemic effect there.
Right. That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
And so I think not only does it show the impact that can have, but it also shows how quickly, not only we as an industry promoted the idea that we should reach out to our customers, but how quickly our customers did. How quickly our customers decided to, no, it's a good decision. How quickly our customers decide, you know what? Yeah, we still do need to reach out to our customers. And one of the ways we can do it is by meeting them in direct mail. Now, the other thing I would say that it tells me, and I'm totally reading between the lines, but it's just something that pops into my head. One of the trends that I saw over the last 18 months is that we did more high quality branded merchandise. And that kind of marries together too, because if you got a bunch of cheap shit in the mail, you wouldn't remember it. Right. So my guess is that 47%, they remember it because they got really nice swag.
It's really funny you mentioned that. And just for the people who are only listening to the podcast, when Kirby said it was a good decision, I'm still trying to figure out lighting with it getting dark at like 3:15 where I live. And so we had the lighting all set, and then 3 minutes later it got super dark. So I had to flip on a light. That was my good decision. So Kirby, you bring up something interesting, because the next part of the survey I did want to discuss was, why did people keep their promotional products? Which you just went into. So we couldn't have scripted that any better. We should almost call this podcast unscripted. I don't know. Anyway, 48.7% of the respondents said they kept it longer than 5 years. Now, that's longer than any other statistic in that area I recall. It's always been, 18 months, 2 years. So
Wow,
5 years, almost 50% said they've kept the promotional product for almost 5 years or 5 years. Why? The biggest reason why, by an overwhelming majority, Kirby, 75%,
Mm.
it kept it because the product was useful. And that feeds right into what you just said. That was a high quality product. It's, the best promo is used, kept, and remembered, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's something in the industry we don't focus enough on,
Right.
the usefulness of the product, right?
Yeah.
We lately, I think we focus on the experience. That's super important.
Yeah, it is.
How one receives the promotional product. But don't forget to remember, is it a product that people will keep and use?
Yeah.
And I think you would agree. Yeah.
No, if there's not utility, but I also would go back to, even if it's something that you want to use, if it's a cheap piece of crap, it will break in 5 years.
Exactly.
So it was actually one of the trends that I noticed, and I had no data to back it up. It was just, but I think where it started was, oh gosh, if I have to ship it, if I have to spend the dollars to ship it to my customer, well, it's going to cost me $15 or $20 to ship it. Well, I'm not going to spend $20 to ship a $3 item. I'm going to reinvest. I'm going to make it. And so I think that the idea that 47% are saying that they got it in the mail, but and then however many are saying that they remember it, like that's
48.7.
Yeah, that's powerful.
It's real powerful. And it's one of those things, distributors, if you're a member of PTAI, go on the website, go on the research tab. There are so many good nuggets in there, and it's really great information. Create some content with it. You can create some really great content with this stuff and share it with your clients. They are not, as much as it's going to hurt you in the feelers, they don't think about promotional products as much as you do. So take some time, pull out some of those nuggets and share those with your clients or your prospects, the ones who are on the fence, that I don't see the value in promotional products. Well, here's some real evidence right here of the absolute impact quality, useful, thoughtful, experiential promotional products can have.
Yeah. And again, I think that's the key, right? Is that it's funny. I was talking about speaking today, and when I was talking to the audience, I mean, like, if you decide we need to have some cheap shit to hand out, those are the results you're going to get. If you talked about having experiential and thoughtful and quality, if you do those things, that's where those numbers, that's where you'll see that bear out. And again, that's up to us to guide people to do.
It really is. So I thought that was some super interesting stuff. So made for a really easy promo up front today. All right,
which is
Kirby,
what you really like, right?
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. All right, Kirby, you got a topic for us?
Yeah, I'm going to go totally off promo here for a little bit. So
excellent.
The headline is NFL star to take all Bitcoin salary.
Okay.
So Odell Beckham Jr., wide receiver who's now with the Los Angeles Rams, announced that he will be accepting his salary in Bitcoin. Which I think is really interesting. The deal is part of an arrangement with Cash App, a digital wallet owned by Square. So there's actually other NFL players who've sort of announced that they are expressed enthusiasm for crypto. We don't have to spend a ton of time on this, but I do think that this is a growing trend, at least right now. Do you think that this is something, especially, we talk sports, all of the freaking college coaches who've decided to all change their jobs in the last 15 minutes. Do you believe that this is a trend, or if this is just a cute thing that Odell's like, I've got enough money, I'm going to do this to stand out and get paid in different ways? I'm curious to know if you think this is a long-term thing.
I think it's kind of both. Money is increasingly becoming something that are numbers on a spreadsheet. It really doesn't exist like physically any longer, right? I mean, it does, but it's shrinking. I mean, how much cash does one carry around on a given day? It's very little. Most people, I carry none. It's all, encrypted numbers on a card. So to think that it's foolish that someone like an Odell Beckham Jr. would take a salary in Bitcoin, I don't think it's foolish at all. And I think it's a good way to maximize what in my mind, he is in a decreasing point of return from a athlete perspective. So for him to maximize it, get a little extra cheddar, as the kids would say, by affiliating with the Cash App and getting it in Bitcoin, I think it's great. It's here's the thing though, Bitcoin, any sort of that cryptocurrency, which I'm fascinated by, quite frankly, but it's extraordinarily volatile. I mean, it
Mm.
is, the dollar is a little more stable and the gold's very stable. So until that Bitcoin and Dogecoin and all the other ones become a little more stable, a lot more stable, and accepted as payment at a few more places, a lot more places, it's a little gimmicky, but we're going in the right, but we're going in a direction where that's where we're heading.
Yeah, I don't think I think we might be going in that direction, but I think we're a long way off before it becomes, because I think that someone who is in a position where they don't need the money, it's a really interesting idea to do.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about the diminishing returns of his talent, which as a Browns fan, we could talk about for a long time, but
not that long actually.
Yeah, but the idea that you would invest in it, I do think it's interesting, but it's not going to be for the every person at this point because it is so volatile. But I do think it caught my attention when you're like, and I didn't even know it was Beckham when I saw it, that an NFL player was taking his full salary in Bitcoin. I was like, now that's interesting. So
no, it's interesting stuff. Cool. Good topic. All right, Kirby. I know you like the Bud Light occasionally, right? You're a big fan. Not really. I know you don't like Bud Light.
I'm a fan of all beer that is free and cold. Bud Light is my least favorite beer.
All right. So can I tempt you with a Bud Light scented candle, Kirby?
Sure, why not?
All right, so they've teamed up with Homesick, and it's a company that makes candles designed to invoke feelings of nostalgia, feelings of yesteryear. Okay, in this one, it's roll with me here, Kirby.
Okay,
this one includes the scent with this one includes notes of lawn chairs, hops, fresh jersey, grass, bleachers, dried face paint, cedar, old pigskin, and smoked charcoal to capture the full tailgating experience. Now, Miller Lite did something similar at the beginning of the pandemic. They partnered with a candle company, and they released a limited run of candles designed to smell like bars that were closed during the pandemic. I absolutely love this. I'm not sure I really love the candle smell. I don't know what lawn chair smells like, but I love the idea because scents are really an amazing thing, and we don't do a lot of that in promo. Now, you and I had the fortunate opportunity to visit our friends over at Snugs about 2 or 3 years ago, and they walked us through the factory. We had the hair nets and the whole 9 yards, and walked us through how they created lip balm and all these other things. And I think you and I are most captivated. I mean, we're captivated by all the great people there and the manufacturing, but the one thing I know that stuck us both out, they have this room and they have a chemist in there mixing different things to make scents, any scent you want. And I'm fascinated by that because I'll be damned, I'm sure that candle smells exactly like I just described it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we incorporate that sense as much as we could with our promo. And I actually got to thinking, usually I do this as a joke, but this is not a joke. I'm not talking about the barbecue in a sweatshirt. We talked about that with the Arby's. That's kind of gimmicky.
Right.
But what about, I'm thinking more in terms of like packaging, right? How cool would it be to get old fashioned glasses that have someone's logo on them and the box has a bourbon smell to it or a leather smell to it that or tobacco, something like that, or beach scented boxes for sunglasses and beach towels. I think to really, I mean, things like that, freshly cut grass for koozies. I thought that'd be kind of fun for
the beach towels also coconut, or because it smells like sunscreen,
right? Or even seriously, if you want to create the concert experience, how about a CBD or weed smell for Bluetooth speaker, right? It's just like you're there, you get your contact high. But in all seriousness, I think we need to do a better job of incorporating the sense of smell within promo. And I wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. His name's escaping me. I know him, but he talks about the fives, how
that'd be our good friend Chris Piper.
Thank you, Chris Piper. I apologize, Chris. That he talks about the idea that promo is the advertising medium that touches all 5 cents, and I think you're right that that's one that we don't spend a lot of time on. I'll be the first to say I don't think about that but I do love the idea of not only working in the packaging, But I think,
Yeah.
from a lip balm perspective, I think
Oh,
about
yeah.
it with when that happens. The
Sure.
only piece of exception I would take to the Bud Light piece is they said that there was the smell of hops, and there's no hops used in Bud Light. But that's
Well, look, Bud Light's water anyway.
Yeah.
But no, I just thought I really think and it's really a supplier thing we're talking about here. I
Yeah.
mean, most distributors don't have the capabilities to have a little a scent mixing lab in their facility. I'd love to see options like that. As a distributor, I think for the right client, you pay a little extra for that leather or bourbon smell of a box when you give old fashioned glasses. I think that's amazing. I think it's you talk about experience. You talk about a promotional experience. You're really creating one right there.
Yeah, no, I really, and so I know what you're saying. The suppliers are, the best suppliers, like you mentioned, Snugs. Those are the folks that are going to
Raining Rose and
execute on it. But as distributors, we also need to be thinking proactively about engaging all five senses. And I think that's where the conversation starts. And man, like in my mind, this is the kind of stuff, Bill, that whenever I have somebody gives me an idea like this, I'm always like, okay, how could I do this in a self promo? How could I do this in marketing for myself? Because then when I introduce that, and when you do marketing for your own company that is super powerful and super cool, it almost always leads to somebody going, can you do that? I want that too. Yeah. And so that's the takeaway is like, how do we do that within our own promo?
And I think it's distributors starting the conversation with suppliers. Hey, I've got an idea. It's a little out there. Can you do this?
Yeah.
How can we do this together? I thought that was a really cool topic. Got another one for us?
Yeah, we'll do one more and then we'll hit the game if that's okay. Yeah. Okay. So social media. So Lush to social media says, I quit. So Lush is a soap and cosmetics giant. Lush Cosmetics, they're deleting their presence on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. I think it was last Friday, but it could have been this Friday, citing mental health concerns.
Okay.
We wouldn't ask our customers to meet us down a dark and dangerous alley. This is a quote. We wouldn't ask them to meet us down a dark and dangerous alley, but some social media platforms are beginning to feel like places no one should be encouraged to go. That's what the retailer said. It will remain off the platforms until they ensure a safer environment for users. I thought that was really bold and I don't know if it was smart, but it was really bold. It was really interesting. And I wonder if it's going to become a trend, especially with brands like that. I mean, that's a big brand to say, look, we're not going to spend $100 million on this because A, I don't know if we're getting the return, and B, we don't know if it's good for people. I just thought it was fascinating. I'm curious to know if you think this is going to be something that happens more often.
I'm embarrassed to say what I'm about to say because it shows me how much of a cynic I've become. Because my first thought was, is this just grandstanding? Is this getting attention by intentionally being a contrarian? And I need to put that out of my head. So I'm going to look at it from a purely, as much as I can, because clearly I'm already biased, but as much of a subjective view as I can. I'm assuming that they're doing it for the right reasons, right? The reasons they stated, those would be the right reasons in my mind. Nothing sinister, nothing behind the scenes or anything like that. Nothing. I think that's important. One of the things we talk about, Kirby, is it's not what you sell, it's what you stand for. And again, if I'm really looking at this objectively, and I want to, if that's what if they're practicing what they preach, hey, we don't feel social media is healthy, we don't feel like it's a safe road to go down, kudos. I think that's great. That doesn't make it bad or good for anybody else. That's their decision. That's their representation of it. And I think it's great that these are our defined principles. Social media goes outside of those principles. So we're saying, no, I'm not sure it's good for their business. I'd never heard of them till this. So that's why I kind of got the cynical part, right? It's not Maybelline.
Right.
It's not L'Oreal. I haven't worn makeup in months, so I don't know. I've never heard of them.
Well, I find it interesting. And again, this is the guy perspective coming out. The idea that a cosmetics company is taking away their Instagram account because it feels sinister and that you're creating sort of a fake atmosphere while putting makeup on seemed mildly ironic to me, but okay.
Well, and here's the other part of it too, Kirby. One of the things I always laugh about is when a human, not a company, makes a big deal about I'm done. I'm off of Facebook.
Right.
I've got to go. I don't know if people realize this or not. You can actually delete your Facebook accounts without telling people
On
right?
Facebook.
On Facebook, you can do that. So I don't know. Interesting though. Very interesting.
So the only piece of that on defending them is it would be weird if a major organization didn't have a presence like that. So announcing it, I think, makes more sense for an organization than it does for an individual.
I guess what I'm going to say though is this: are you throwing out the baby with the bathwater? There's a lot of programs on television that I'm sure advertisers don't agree with, but that doesn't make all television bad.
Right.
There are things on social media I don't like or agree with either. It does not make all social media bad. And to cut off that direct line of communication, both from really from a marketing standpoint, it's a dangerous maneuver. That's for sure. It'll be very interesting to watch. I don't know what their sales are now and what they will be.
Yeah,
That'd be interesting to follow up on. Do we have time for one quick one or no?
Yeah,
Real
sure.
Quick. Okay. I called you in the beginning of the podcast the Admiral of Alternative Plastics. And I know being eco-friendly is very important to you. You're making a face, Kirby.
I'm just curious to know where you're going with this. That's all.
Well, you would agree we need to find eco-friendly alternatives to plastics, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So how about some eco-friendly alternative plastic made from salmon sperm? Does that interest you?
Sounds delicious.
Whoa. Okay. So it was invented by scientists in China, as I try to move along quickly and not dissect that comment. It's 2 short strands of DNA made from salmon sperm, and they're combined with a chemical from vegetable oil that binds them together to create a squishy, that's a terrible word, squishy material known as hydrogel. And then that gel is then molded into different shapes and freeze dried to remove the moisture, making it a solid, right? And they've made a couple things. They made puzzle pieces and cups out of this hydrogel. 2 questions. One, is salmon sperm plastic the future of plastics in the promotional products industry?
No. Next question.
Okay. Number 2, would you ever feel comfortable selling salmon sperm plastic?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, again, that's one of those things where I think that there are people who are much smarter than I am, and that's not hard to believe, that are coming up with these things. I think once things get beyond the experimental, a marketer is going to enter the room and they're going to say, "Stop calling it that."
Right.
Let's call
it hydrogel.
Yeah.
Call it hydrogel.
Yeah. So, and
here's the
thing.
thing.
Super comfortable. So
taking the giggling like 14-year-old schoolboys like we are because we said the word sperm. I love the fact, 2 things, and in all seriousness, I love the fact that people are trying to find alternative ways to create things that we seemingly can't live without. I look around my room and there is plastic everywhere, and we know it's horrible for the environment, right? And the second thing is the fact that we use every piece of an animal. It's one of the things I always admired whenever I read about Native Americans, how when they killed a buffalo, they used every piece of the buffalo. And so that just because it's salmon baby gravy doesn't mean you can't use it for something else.
Sure.
Okay, Kirby, let's go to the game.
Let's
go to the game. Let's go. All right, I'm excited. This is the party in the back. I am ready to mullet this thing up. Let's go.
Okay, so I was thinking about it. You just had a birthday. Happy birthday.
I did. Thank you very little.
And at this point in your life, your career is set. Your career path is set. You are a genius marketer. Everyone knows it. And so you're doing what you're doing, right? But what if it wasn't? What if you had to start all over? What career would you choose? We're going to do either or.
Okay, I like this. And before you jump in on this real quick, just to touch on the game last week, we did a little prop bet thing.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you destroyed me. There's no reason to go line by line. You literally won 6 of the 8. So it didn't have to go to the tiebreaker. So Kirby, I owe you a hat. You will tell me which hat I owe you, which chapeau I owe you, if you will, at a time of your choosing. So please. Okay, either or. If Bill wasn't a marketer, what would Bill do? Let's do it.
Okay, so we're going to start. And again, this truly, there's no wrong answer. If you want to elaborate, great. If you don't, that's fine. Okay. Would you be a doctor or a lawyer?
Lawyer. I don't have the steadiest of hands. I never have. I mean, I don't. Like when I play Operation the Wacky Doctors game, I fail miserably.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And so I think we'll all thank you for being
Yeah.
a lawyer.
And I like
instead.
talking.
Yeah,
Might shock
that's what I
everybody.
thought. And you like writing, so that made sense
I
to
do.
me. Okay, a restaurateur
Mhm.
or a DJ, like a radio DJ.
Oh, radio DJ. It was always my dream.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought.
I really, it's one of the, it's one of my only true regrets in life that I didn't pursue a career in broadcasting. I let some people talk me out of it, and I wish I hadn't. Actually, I let my parents talk me out of it, and I regret it to this day.
Yeah, well, you're getting to do some of that now, so it's good.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I'm living my dream right now.
Yeah. Okay. Would you be a bartender or a singer?
Ooh, singer.
Okay.
Singer.
Rebel yell.
I do a little rebel yell. I do like my karaoke, as the Japanese would say. I love to entertain. I love to sing. I don't mind. I still get anxious, like you and I are doing some speaking in Vegas. I get that nervous, but there's something about those 90 seconds before you start and you go on that stage and get in front of people that just makes me feel incredibly alive.
Yeah, love that. Okay, cool. So you do like to write.
Mm-hmm.
So would you be a novelist or a songwriter?
Novelist.
Okay.
Novelist. Yeah.
All
right. I'm too wordy. Every song would end up being like Cashmere from Zeppelin if I wrote songs.
Okay, I like it. Know thyself. Truck driver or a telemarketer?
My career's taking a quick downturn. I'm gonna go truck driver. I'll take some roofies on the road and drive 20 hours straight. Let's go.
Okay. A food critic?
Amphetamines, not roofies. Sorry.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I was moving on. Food critic, music critic.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Right?
I'm gonna go food critic because I have a really hard time slamming music, even music I don't, for lack of a better term, understand. That's art. So is food, but I know it tastes good to me and what doesn't. Okay. Music is so much more, in my mind, subjective, and so I don't love music critics.
Cool. Okay, a couple more. You're doing great. Event planner or wedding planner?
Oh, event planner, wedding. No. And okay. Move next.
I thought you'd look good in the role of J-Lo in that movie. So would you rather be a midwife or a farmer?
Oh, a farmer.
Okay.
Farmer. I'm an early riser as it is, and I don't take a lot of pleasure in yard work, which I am extrapolating into farming, but I think I could learn to enjoy that.
The process of that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, two more. An optometrist or a dentist?
Oh, man, optometrist. I don't want to be near people's janky mouths. I don't have any desire to do that. Plus, I want to just sit there and use the same two lenses and trick people. Better or worse? Better or worse? Better or worse?
Sounds great. Okay. Final one. Would you rather be a web designer or a graphic designer?
Graphic designer. Do so much of that now with Brand of 8 and what we do. And I really enjoy it. So I'd say graphic designer. But you know what else I enjoy, Kirby?
What's that, Bill?
I enjoy losing a hat bet to you, but beyond that, I enjoy talking about our good pals over at Soapbox Marketing Communications. We talked about how they've really extracted the best parts of those supplier meetings and created a virtual online platform that's super simple, easy to use, and it's very impactful, very powerful. You heard Shannon Laredo's comment earlier in the podcast. If you're a distributor that sells $500,000 or more, you need to step up your game and get up on that soapbox, not tomorrow, not after breakfast, but right now. So head over to promosoapbox.com right now. Fill out the form there, and either Dan Piggott or Brett Schaefer will get right back to you. Or you can even email them at info@promosoapbox.com. You're really not going to be sorry you did. They've done such a killer job in creating this really cool ecosystem that really connects suppliers and distributors in ways that frankly haven't been done.
Yeah, it really is a great platform. And you talked about the easy to use. I think sometimes we get scared about new technology. It is really genuinely easy.
Yeah, the word simple is not a pejorative, folks.
Yeah.
Simplicity is an incredibly difficult thing to achieve, and they've achieved it. So,
Yeah.
you know what else we've achieved, Kirby? A super damn long podcast today. So let's go ahead and wrap this baby up.
See you, man.
That's right.